YouTube viewers of this channel. Hope everybody's doing well on this Tuesday morning. Hope this day finds you doing well. Anyway, I am here to say watching the news this morning. I guess Democrats had their caucus in Iowa last night, and I just find it hilarious that every candidate that was there for the caucus are all coming away claiming victory. No concession that any of them could lose. Eventually somebody's going to have to lose, and the party's going to have to nominate a candidate. And everybody's moving off to New Hampshire thinking they're the ones in the lead. Of course, they don't know because an app that they purchased, designed, had bought, whatever, didn't work right. Their backup system jammed up. So now they're having to go back to the old-fashioned way of counting ballots, which they probably ought to have done to begin with. But neither here nor there on that one. I just find it funny. I find it hilariously funny that happened. Of course, old Bloomberg, he just, I'm going to do my own thing. Apparently he thinks, just based on the fact that he has more money than the current president, by virtue of that fact and that fact alone, he'll win. I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I just thought that was funny last night, or this morning I saw it in the news. Excuse me. But yeah. Got that going on. I think tonight's the State of the Union. I might watch it, I might not. There's a couple dirtbags that have already stated that they're gonna boycott and not be there. Yeah, okay. Which I guess is their right to do. But the people of Tennessee, the ones that voted old Cohen in, y'all need to just think twice about that guy. But he's gonna do what he's gonna do, and he's around there. Everybody else can stop him doing it. So let him boycott and not be there. That's fine. Boycott, abstain, whatever word you want to use. Bottom line, he ain't gonna be there, and it's basically in protest. What's going to be interesting, though, is when the president comes out and he goes to shake hands with the Speaker of the House. Now that, I might, just to watch that part of it, I might just stay up and watch that, because I can only imagine how she's going to react. I can only imagine. I think the Senate's supposed to vote tomorrow or the day after tomorrow to finally put this impeachment mess to bed. That ought to be interesting. Why it's drug out so long now, it's not even funny, but maybe Mitch McConnell allowed it to go on this long just to be an all adequate time of fairness, I guess. Y'all have to forgive me. I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning. I think I pulled a muscle in my back last night, and at 2 o'clock was enough, and the body said, get up and go sit in your chair. Now it's coming back to haunt me. I already know for a fact I'm going to struggle to get through work today, but I've just got to do what you got to do. had this thing on because it was so sad. It hurt so much. If anybody out there's ever had back pain, you know. Once your back goes out, everything else is a wash. It just, it's the only part of the body I know of that when it hurts, it disables everything else. You can't even write your name without some amount of pain, it seems like, when you hurt your low back. Of course, I've had back issues off and on for several years now. Had a fusion in 2015 of the L5S1. But I had other levels that were damaged or are damaged that they didn't warrant fixing. Like the doctor told me, so when you fuse more than 2 levels, you run into a problem of mobility. I'm coming up on 5 years since my back surgery. I don't know, folks. In other news, I'd ask y'all to pray for my nephew that was having open heart surgery yesterday. He'd had a heart attack and discovered he had 3 blockages. Last post from my sister-in-law, he came through the surgery, he's doing well. His heart's functioning more or less back at normal with the bypass in place. For the prayers, I'm appreciative. And we just pray now that he'll have a healthy and successful recovery. I won't say speedy. If you know anything about heart attacks, there really is no speedy recovery. And if anybody else knows anything about heart attacks, once you have one, your heart's permanently altered. Bottom line, heart attack destroys heart tissue. I'm hoping in my nephew's case it wasn't. The tissue damage to his heart was not major, but you just never know. My father's first heart attack in 1960 basically made mush of 60% of his heart muscle. That's just what it was. I've had friends that have had multiple heart attacks. But, once your heart starts acting up, I don't think there's a permanent long-term fix, if you will. Like the former vice president, Dick Cheney. And that man's had some heart attacks. But, with that being said, there's only so many times a doctor can go inside a person's chest cavity and manipulate muscle and bone and tissue. But because my nephew, he had 2 blockages at 100% and 1 at 99, they had to basically go and do a triple bypass on him. Like I said, my sister-in-law said he came through it fine and heart's functioning fine. Because this day and age, if a doctor can catch it before it happens, they can go in and usually put stents in to alleviate the blockages. In his case, it had gotten too far, I guess. But I'm glad he's doing better. But again, like I said, heart disease, no joke. My dad had heart disease. His father, my grandfather, died when he was 28 or 30 due to rheumatism of the heart. In other words, when he was a young man, that was when my grandfather, according to what my dad told me and other relatives, my grandfather on my dad's side was limited to what he could do as a grown man because of rheumatism. He'd had rheumatic fever as a young boy, and it affected him. There were days that he just couldn't work. If you know anything about rheumatism, and if it gets to the heart, it affects your muscles, and the heart is a muscle. But eventually that's what caught up to him years later. He farmed when he could, but got to his heart, basically, heart failure due to rheumatism. Now, they had the medicines back then they got today. Who knows how long a man would have lived. Likewise, my dad's first heart attack in 1960. There was a lot of the doctors just recommended him go home and light, not even doing any light work, just, get up, walk a little bit. But now, doctors today, after a person's had a heart attack, once they start the recovery process, they want to try and re-engage them into physical activity. Now, not as vigorous as things were before per se, but as one of the treatments now is to kind of get them back into a more active role. And of course, in my dad's day, they didn't have certain medicines they've got today that they would use to treat. I also found out they're sent off for his VA records, and I'm really surprised. Actually, they sent me a disc with all his VA medical records. He had what was considered, it eventually led to congestive heart failure. Did not know this. Mom and Dad never disclosed that to me and my brother growing up, but it was basically Dad went into congestive heart failure when he had when things were leading up to his last and final heart attack. But the second one, per se, that he had a series of mild heart attacks, if you will. What the doctor said, but it had equivocated to a massive, which he'd had before. His first one was a massive. That was in 84, 85, 86. That winter, Mom remembers seeing Dad take a lot of nitroglycerin pills. So when it got to him where he couldn't work, he went to his VA doctor, and they sent him off for a catheter scan, where they took the catheter and shoot the dye up, and when they found more blockages, and basically tell them we can do bypass surgery and it'll take some of the pressure off what's left of your heart, but it wasn't going to do anything for the heart failure. And at that point in time, pacemakers, they were fairly common, but apparently Dad wasn't a candidate for one, I guess. And of course, there was no such thing as internal defibrillators. So nowadays, people get pacemakers and defibrillators put inside them. Who knows where they'll be in 20 years from now? I can remember, while we're on it, medical technology, I've gotten off on some wild tangents before, and this was just another one. Right when I got ready to graduate high school, the first artificial heart patient, remember that making the news? I want to say it was when I was about to graduate high school. Pretty sure it was 1987. If I'm wrong on the dates, just correct me down below in the comments. But I know it was in the late 80s. It was the first artificial heart put into a human recipient. And I wanted to say the man lived 60, 65 days after that with an artificial heart in his body. And growing up, I just thought that was amazing. Now, mind you, he still had a whole lot of techno gizmos hooked up to him. I don't think he ever left the hospital, but he had an artificial heart in his body for all those days. And I could be wrong about the number of days he lived after they put it in, but it was fairly impressive for the technology that was available at the time. Nowadays, you got people that have bad valves or valves in their heart go bad, and they're replaced it with with cow tissue. I want to say there was a case of a man received a baboon heart. So honestly, technology is coming along in the medical field, and it'd be interesting to see where it's at in another 20 years on what they can do. Just like cancer treatments, there used to be a time it didn't matter what kind of cancer you were diagnosed with. The course of action was chemotherapy followed by radiation, and now they've got certain types they can actually inject the radioactive material to the site of the cancer, thus not subjecting the whole body to the radiation treatment, which is kind of interesting. And who knows where cancer treatment will be in the next 20 years. I heard in the news yesterday, Rush Limbaugh, not a fan of his, but I don't wish this on anybody, made the announcement that he was in the advanced stages of lung cancer. And will be taking time off from his, programs in order to get treatment. So I pray that he'll have a positive outcome on this. And I was also listening to news about that. Liberal left reporters are already wishing ill will to the man. Again, I don't like him. He speaks well of conservative values. That part I'll give him, but I just don't like his style, among other things. But just here and there. But again, I don't wish what's going on in his life to him or anybody. But yeah, like I said, though, technology and the leaps and bounds of medical technology that's out there, and where it will be in 20 years will be interesting to see. It really will. Anyway. But yeah, back to the whole thing of heart disease. There's a lot of things out there that causes it. Hereditary, personal habits, diet. I probably need to do a better job with that myself. I'm kind of a meat and taters feller. I like a whole lot of green leafy stuff. I need to cut back on my red meat intake. Like I said, I like meat and taters. When I say meat and taters, I mean some kind of beef and taters. Don't get me wrong, I eat my fair share of pork and chicken. I don't do fish like I used to. And I just kind of fell out of love with fish. But bottom line is this, folks. We all have one thing for certain. We have a date with, we all have an expiration date. Let me put it that way. And you can extend it only a finite number of times based on circumstances and situations. But at the end of the day, when God calls you, you're gonna go. You ain't escaping it. But that doesn't mean you have to be completely miserable the entire time that you're here. Take care of the body God gave you as best you can. I'm no nutrition freak or expert or exercise freak or expert, but try to be as good to your body as you possibly can. We all have habits. Folks, I smoked for 25 years. Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but it is. I smoked for 25 years. I quit. I say quit. Catch myself. I stopped for the last time 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, right prior to my low back surgery, and I've not smoked again since. In my younger days, when I was young in the Army, I used to drink a fair amount. I really don't drink anymore. I don't smoke anymore, but I still enjoy my coffee, and I still enjoy my steak and baked potatoes and And I probably, well, not probably, I do, I eat too much. There you have it. And in my younger days in the Army, I didn't quite take care of myself as well as I ought to have. Meaning I didn't, I ignored some of the pains and aches that my body were having and just chalked it off to the job. So. But anyway, folks, God bless y'all. Y'all have a great day. Charities I'd ask you to support: tunnelstotowers.org, Folds of Honor, Valor for Veterans, and Pin Up for Vets. They can't do it by themselves, folks. Anything you can do to help them out would be greatly appreciated. Vendors I'd ask you to always help out and support: Money Quick Pawn, Rayford Road, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Robert's Custom Woodworks, Unsug Patriot, and Black Bag Resources. Check them all out. Help them out if you can, folks. Likewise, if you haven't got my books yet, they're available on Amazon. The price has been reduced. And I've got my Teespring site. If you're so inclined to get a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, they're all the links and stuff are down below in the description. Doohickey down there. So I need to figure out how to do them little pop-up cards that people put that stuff on. Maybe I'll get technological savvy one day. But until then, folks, God bless, take care, and until tomorrow, Old Soldier out.